What is up, Black World? You're here with your boy Chris, and today I'm going to give you some advice that has helped guide me through my life and help me complete and achieve numerous goals. I'm going to give you some background of who I am, how I started my reading habit, and where reading has taken me throughout my life. Reading has been single-handedly the most impactful thing I think I've done in my life besides working out. And what I mean by that is, like, since I've developed a reading habit and started filling my time with like reading books that build me up, the trajectory of my life has changed drastically. How I treat people has changed drastically. And I'm gonna give you some insights from that. I came from nothing. Like, I came from, my family was around some wealth because my grandfather was kind of wealthy, but my family didn't have a lot. And especially when I got into my teenage years, there were some turbulent times. And I think the catalyst for me to want to be better was experiencing housing insecurity as a child, right? That's the experience that I'd never want to wish upon anyone, but it happened to me. And it pushed me, and it did something to my mind to where as though I was willing to do a lot more than I feel the average person was willing to do to reach my dream of success, or reach what I think is success. So much so, it pushed me into the military to where as though, I had some issues with my legs when I was coming up, and, people said, I had multiple surgeries, and, I couldn't run, things like that. But I was determined, because of my housing situation, to leave the environment that I was in and join the military to really become successful for my family, to be a role model and an example. And it didn't all start like that. It was kind of more out of desperation. I was a kid coming from a small town, and it was a lot of violence, and I was kind of 1 foot into the streets and 1 foot into the job world. I guess I had a minimum wage job, but I was doing other things to like bring in more income. Let's say that. I picked up my reading habit, in Iraq. So I got sent to Iraq when I was 20 years old. And in Iraq, I lived in this little metal box called a CHU, right? Central Housing Unit, I think. And it was like a container, but it was cut into multiple boxes. And, we had AC, so we were blessed with that. But, outside of working out and like socializing with some of your soldiers when you're not, on duty, there's not a lot to do in Iraq, right? Because you're in a war zone, there's IDF, which is indirect fire. You got a job to do, different things like that. But you can order things from Amazon. So I ordered this book called Back Against the Wall. And I guess I am making a book recommendation because this book started me on a path to knowledge of self, which for my definition of knowledge of self is like learning what our ancestors went through and did, and how they served as a platform for me to do what I do, right? Before this book called Back Against the Wall, I didn't have any kind of aspect of knowledge of self. It talked about everything. It was focused on the Black Panthers and their struggle for freedom and equality and justice, and it really just opened my eyes to some of the things that they were battling at the hands of the government, right? And at this time, I was actually working for the government, so it created a instant conflict, right, with me. And then it made me hyper aware to some of the things that I was experiencing as a soldier. So I experienced, racism as a soldier from other soldiers that, come from different places where they're less tolerant, which, I'm from California, and specifically from the Bay Area, and it's a much more tolerant place than other places that these soldiers were coming from. But I digress, right? So I read this book, and it was like 300 pages, and it was like one of the first books that I finished as an adult, right? And I was like, wow, blown away. So then I started ordering more books and started diving into, I read Malcolm X when I was out there. When I came back, later on in life, I read Asada, and really just enthralled with some of our ancestors and the struggles that they went through. And knowledge of self actually created my foundation for wanting to read, right? When I read Malcolm X's book, his autobiography, I was blown away at his transformation, and it kind of like spoke to me because, you know, he was one thing and then he came out to be another, right? And I felt like that's what books were doing to me. I just wasn't in prison, I was in the army, right? Doing those things. So after that, I thought I was going to be a career soldier for a minute until I came upon knowledge of self, and then things started kind of I stopped kind of sipping the Kool-Aid. Nothing against, you know, the military. They were a great stepping stone, and I started seeing the military for what it really is, you know, and what I wanted to use it as, which was a stepping stone. So I got out of the military. Unfortunately, I was injured inside the military, and it kind of, you know, moved my life in a different direction, because I thought I was going to be able to do the job I did in the military in the civilian world, which wasn't the case anymore. So I got out and I said, hey, well, since my body is kind of hurt, let me develop my mind. What can I do? And I thought about business, right? And business is not something that I'm naturally geared towards, but I was thinking, if I'm going to use the GI Bill, if I'm going to use this resource, this benefit to be able to go to school and graduate without debt, what would give me the maximum return on my investment? And that's what I would recommend to any of you guys who are thinking about going to college. You know, unfortunately, like, sometimes I have friends that went to school for music. I have friends that went to school for, you know, maybe less in demand, less quantitative degrees, and you know, unfortunately they face somewhat of a struggle in finding employment. So I would give you the advice to go to school for something that's going to give you the maximum return on your investment of 4 years or 6 years, right? So I went to school for business, initially a finance major. I wanted to learn, I was interested in personal finance. I read the book Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover, and that kind of transformed my finances, right? So I went from being in debt, having a low credit score, to reading Dave Ramsey's book and using those tools to bring me to a certain point to where I didn't have any debt. I was saving up nest eggs. I was budgeting my money every month, which is something that I still do today, which I would recommend. So that's another book recommendation. So I guess, you know, I'm giving you guys book recommendations that have helped steer me throughout my life. So let me go back. So yeah, college. Went to college, graduated, just recently graduated, and through my last semester, I actually came upon a program to where I can go to school and get an MBA, right? And since I graduated with a business degree with a focus in information systems, I thought, why not augment it with an MBA? Starting from where I came from, I never thought that I would be, you know, I never thought I would, one, go to college. I never thought, two, that I would graduate, and I never thought that I would go back for an MBA. So I just want to give advice to all my young brothers and sisters out there who are thinking, like, where you start is not where you're going to end up, right? And it all starts, I would have to say, with the vision with your vision of what you have for yourself in your mind. You know, experiencing some of the tragedies that I faced as a child, I created this vision within my mind that one day I want to have things. One day I want to have, you know, I don't want my family to struggle. I want to have a bigger home. You know, I want to be able to take trips when I can, and, you know, do things and pay for my kids' school and different things like that. I want to have a vision for myself where I'm not struggling, right? And whatever I gotta do, you know, legally to get to that, I'm gonna plan and I'm gonna try to execute. Actually, I'm gonna execute, and I'm gonna make those things happen. So I think through everything, my biggest recommendation is try to learn something every day, right? Try to read something every day. If you can do 10 minutes, if you can do 15 minutes or 30 minutes, try to read something every day. Try to be the best in whatever field you're in, and or the field you want to be in. Try to study for that. You know, get those habits of learning something every day. Come with a positive attitude, and always keep your vision clear in your mind, and don't let anybody deter you from that. And I think that you can be successful as well. Like I said, I'm on a journey. I'm not where I want to be yet. I've accomplished a lot, but I still got a long way to go. So that's me. That's what I do. I'm gonna continue to bring you guys good recommendations, and I want to really just apply and give you guys value. That's what this YouTube channel is for, to give you guys value, if not through my own experience, through great book recommendations and conversations that happen within the comments. Peace.